All right, 15.4, Geometric and Arithmetic Series, the last of the learning videos. Small cheer. There we go. All right, so Geometric and Arithmetic Series. A series is simply the sum of a sequence. So it's the same thing we've been doing, but now we're going to be adding them all up. So you can see here, it's written instead of having commas, we have a plus sign. So we're adding them all up, and we have to find the actual sum of the series. Okay, there's a nice little story about Frederick Gauss. If you want to know it, ask me tomorrow. It's a good story. Okay, so the basic idea is we want, look at this, I have an arrow now, determine, so your procedure here is to determine if it's an arithmetic or geometric. So remember, it's arithmetic if it has a common difference, and it's geometric if it's a ratio. And if it's neither, well then it's neither. Okay? Determine if you need a formula. Okay? Because adding these guys up, you can simply just add them up with the plus sign in your calculator and just do it. Because sometimes it's easier just to do it. However, there is an arithmetic formula and a geometric formula, and lucky for you, they are given to you on the reference sheet. So you just have to determine if it's arithmetic, you use this one. If it's geometric, use this one, and then you just use it. You just have to have the pieces. Okay, so that's it. So let's look at these. To determine the sum of the first 8 terms of the series. So looking at this, is it a difference or is it a ratio? So I'm looking here. To me, it looks like a ratio because it's going positive, negative, and you can't do that in adding. So looks like a common ratio. The common ratio is 4 over -2 or -2. And if I want to find the sum of the first 8 terms, there's 3 already. I don't really think I need a formula. What I can do is just, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Simply add 8 terms together. Just multiply each preceding one by negative. So -8 times -2 is 16. 16 times -2 is -32. And then 64, -128, and 256. Okay, and then I just add them all together, and when I add those together, I get 170. Okay, and so you can do it that way, and that way is perfectly acceptable. If, however, they do ask you to find the first 100 terms, I know you got 3 hours or more, but that's going to take you a while. So it may be easier to find a formula. So find the sum here. So let's look. So I'm starting at -1. I got a 1 to 3 to 5 to 7. That looks like geometric. So with a common difference, so I do common difference of 1 minus a -1. So that's 2. Am I adding 2 every time? Yeah, it looks like it. So that is a arithmetic. So with the arithmetic formula, as written above, but I'll write it here for convenience, S of n. So notice the S, conveniently, for sum or series, but sum sounds better because sequence starts with an S also. Here's the formula. So the things that you need your n. Remember, n is your number of terms. You need your first term. You need your last term. So for the 100th term, I need the 100th term. And then that's it. That's what you need. And you just add them together. So I know n is 100. I know my first term is -1. I just don't know my 100th term. So how do we find that? Well, we think back to 2 days ago when we use the regular formula. So a sub 100, so remember the regular formula if you want me to write that down for convenience. A sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times the common difference. So a sub 100 equals the first term, 100, plus n minus 1, so it's 100 minus 1 times the common difference, which we figured out. Oh, I should have written it. Oh, I did. Nice. The common difference is 2. Do all the abracadabras, you get 197. Okay, so the very last term that I want of this is 197. So now that I do that, I just take all those things, plug it into the formula, and I am done. So find the sum of the first 100 terms, S sub 100, and I plug it in. 100, first term, last term, divided by 2. Do the top, plug it into your calculator, divide it by 2, or our new fancy calculators. Make sure you can do it. Try it out in your calculator. Enjoy. So a theater in New York City has 16 seats in the first row. How many, if one seat is added to each row, how many seats are there in the 12th row? So what this is saying is, in no uncertain terms, is this is an arithmetic because it's going up by 1 every time. So our common difference is 1. So you could, count this on your fingers. But with stuff like this, I always mess it up. So I do like to use my formula. So the first term is 16. The last term, we don't know, but we want to find the 12th term. So we want to find the 12th. So we use our regular formula, a sub 12, or a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times the common difference. So the reason I'm doing that, because right now I am not adding them up. So if I'm not adding them up, I'm using this formula here. If I am adding them up, well then I'm using the one I gave you on the previous page. So a sub 12 is equal to 16 plus 12 minus 1 times the common difference. So a sub 12, the 12th term, is 27. So you can count on your fingers, and hopefully you get 27. Okay, how many total seats are there in the first 12 rows? So the total seats should be your cue that you're going to use the sum of the first 12 rows. Okay, so we just use our pieces. Again, our formula S sub n equals n times a1 plus an divided by 2. So the first term we said already was 16. Oh, excuse me. We want the first 12 rows, so that's n. A1 is 16. An, we just figured that out. That was what that was for. Over 2. So you have 258 people. Not a very big theater. Just saying. Thinking Newfield's bigger than that. Okay. All right, next. Suppose you pay $600 a month in rent each month. Suppose that the rent increases, whatever, the rent increases each year thereafter by 10% of the previous year's rate. So just knowing that it increases by 10% tells me that this is geometric. Okay, so I'm going to be using a geometric formula or a couple geometric formulas. Now I read through it and I said, oh, total rent. So what that tells me with total rent is that I'm going to be adding stuff up. So the formula for that is, if you recall, the first term, 1 minus r to the n, divided by 1 minus r. Again, you're given that formula, but those are the pieces that you need. Okay, given that that's the formula, you need the different pieces. So we have a sub 1. What is a sub 1? So a sub 1 is equal to the first year's rent. Okay, not the first month's rent, because it doesn't increase every month. It increases every year. Okay, so the first year's rent is 600 times 12, because it's the total rent that we want. So we just have to figure out that first year's. So that's 7,200. That's A sub 1. Okay, the next thing that we need to know is our R. So the R is, this is our exponential growth and decay mess. So it's growth. So you know it's 1 plus 0.1 or 0.10. Okay, so that is our, I like to put the 10, so just give me a break there. So we that is our growth. So since it's increasing, we do have to do 1 plus. If it was decreasing, it would be 1 minus. And then finally, we need our N, and our N is 8 after 8 years. And we just plug them in. So the sum of 8 is equal to the first year's rent times 1 minus 1.10. Excuse me, I'm running out of space. Sorry, I'll smush it. 1 minus 1.10 to the 8th power divided by 1 minus 8. And you simply plug it in your calculator and you find the answer. Just, do your best. Follow your order of operations. Plug it in right. And 82,338. It doesn't say it's in there, so I'm going to round to the nearest cent because, whatever. But depending on how they asked you to round, nearest $100 would be 82,300. And, you take it from there. Okay, number 5. How many terms are there in a geometric series if the first term is 4, the common ratio is 3, and the sum of the series is 160? Well, that's a very good question. I'm so happy you asked that. Okay, so they're telling me that the sum of the series, and they're saying geometric. So those things should clue you into using this formula. A1, 1 minus r to the n, 1 minus r. So they're telling me the first term is 4. That's nice. They're telling me the common ratio is 3. These guys are giving me everything. And the sum, so they're telling me this is equal to 160. But they're not telling me what n is. So that's what I need. So I don't need n. I mean, I need n very badly. So I have to find n. So 160 is equal to the first term, 1 minus 3 to the n. Oh no, an n in the exponents means logs is going to show up, divided by 1 minus r. So then this is 160 equals 4 times 1 minus 3 to the n all over 2. This is my favorite, cross multiply. So that's this should be negative 2. This should be negative 320 equals 4 times 1 minus 3n to the n. And we're just solving. So you divide by 4, and I'm going to shove over here a little bit. So I divide by 4, that happens, and I get negative 80 equals 1 minus 3 to the n. So I subtract 1. Negative 81 equals negative 3 to the n. Don't lose that little negative right there. Remember, this n is not being raised, raising this negative 3. So I can divide out the negative 1 here. So I get 81 equals 3 to the n. So you can either do common bases here, which we just did, I think, in a do now, so that's good. Or you can use logs, but this is 3 to 81 is 3 to the 4th. Drop the 3's, and n equals 4. Okay, so there's 4 terms. Finally, the sum of a geometric series of 6 terms with a ratio of 2 is negative 189. What's the first term? So again, they're giving you different pieces, and you just need to find the one that's missing. This time it's not an exponent, it's the first term. So again, you should have this memorized by now. I do, I think. All right, so the sum, I'm just going to plug this stuff in. So there's 6 terms, that's your n. Negative 189 is my s of n. In this case, s of 6. And 2 is my r. So I just plug this stuff in. Negative 189. What I don't know is a1, so that stays. So it's 1 minus 2 to the 6th divided by 1 minus 2. So solving for this, negative 189 equals a sub 1. This mess in here is negative 63 divided by negative 1. So again, you can cross multiply. I'm going to take it up here. Whatever, I'll just keep going. 189 equals a sub 1 times negative 63 divided by negative 63. I get negative 3. So the first term was negative 3. And there you go, super fun. See ya.